be seated. There's still a few seats. Okay, first on the agenda.
The commission will now take up matters to do with applications for public amusement licenses for events scheduled to take place at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium at 50 East Merrimack Street. Tom McKay's Mill City Management, Inc. The first item is a show, the Colin and Brad, the two-man group, Friday, April 13th at 8 p.m. Show, Girls' Night, the musical, Saturday, April 14th at 8 p.m. The Doherty concert on Monday, April the 23rd at 8 p.m. The show, a Super Scientific Circus for Tuesday morning, April 24th, 10 a.m. Another show for 100 Years of Broadway, Thursday, May 3rd at 8 p.m. Burn the Floor, another show for Tuesday, May 8th at 8 p.m. A boxing event, the Irish Joe McCready Boxing for Wednesday, May 9th at 8 p.m. Show Weird Al for Thursday, May 10th at 8 p.m. A concert, The Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Thursday, June 7th at 8 p.m. The Middlesex Community College Celebrity Forum for Friday evening, June 15th. And last is a show, Live, Laugh, Love Comedy Benefit for Friday, June 22nd at 8 p.m.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Carol Walls.
Okay. And I don't see anything here that, anybody see anything they'd be concerned about? It looks like all kind of really good family fun.
Yep. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The organization generally would have to go through the city clerk's office to get a raffle facade permit.
Yeah.
Assuming there's not necessarily a admission, but it's just a matter of.
Yeah, you pay, I think it's $50. What?
It's kind of moved now. She's gone. She's already gone.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I guess I had a number of phone calls on it. Okay, want me to ask? Okay, I think it's coming quick and I can't.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Right. Next on the agenda.
Commission will now take up the application for a fair, St. Margaret's School, Reverend Raymond Benoit, on the school grounds at 486 Stevens Street. It is the St. Margaret's School Family Festival, starting with Wednesday evening, April 18th at 6 to 9 p.m., Thursday, April the 19th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Friday evening from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on April 20th, and Saturday all day, April 21st, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. The promoter is the East Coast Amusements Limited Liability Company, and is Danielle Karen
Yes.
is representing the school.
Oh, I thought you were Father Benoit. You've got your inspection certificates, I presume, and
Everything's all set.
this sounds like a good time.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Welcome. Tell Father I said you're a lot easier to deal with. He'll know.
Commission will now take up applications for special one-day licenses for malt beverages and wine only, or either one. James J. Jeffers for 119 Gallery at 119 Chelmsford Street. It's a 119 Gallery Benefit Anthology performance for Thursday evening, May 3rd, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And Felicia M. Sullivan for 119 Gallery at 119 Chelmsford Street, the 119 Gallery Benefit Anthology performance for Friday, May 4th, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Introduce yourself for the record.
James J. Jeffers,
Felicia M. Sullivan.
Okay, where is the 119 Gallery?
119 Chelmsford Street, Lowell.
Yeah, no, where?
Right across from
Across from the Maycom building,
Across from,
Maycom.
oh, okay,
Lower
okay,
Highlands.
up from the Gaelic Club
okay. No, I know you are,
and the 7-Eleven.
okay. So you're gonna put a one-day license in each of your names,
Right.
Right.
that correct?
It's a 2-day event, Thursday night and Friday night.
okay? It's only gonna run to 11 o'clock?
Correct.
Have you ever had a liquor license before?
We have.
We have.
You have?
Yes.
Both of you?
Well, 119 Gallery has.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm-
No.
The liquor, you know, people get.
No.
Right. People don't understand, you know. You come before us and you want a license, so 119 Gallery can serve beer and wine, okay? 119 is, the Gallery Corporation, call it whatever you want to call it. It's got nothing to do with it, really.
Okay.
If somebody gets in trouble, you know, God forbid somebody has a couple of too many beers, or today, which is very, very popular, you know, people, rather than go out and buy, beers, they'll have 4 or 5 drinks, and then they go out, you know? So then, then they get in trouble, and you know what? You're the guys that are gonna be responsible. So it not only behooves you to make sure that whoever you have there besides yourself, number one, is absolutely very familiar with serving alcohol. Because, all of these bleeding hearts and do-gooders, we'll get Junior a beer, he's 19, nobody will ever know. And then Junior gets behind the wheel and wraps himself around a tree, and everybody's gonna feel so sorry for Junior. It's a shame. It's your fault, I know it is. You enabled him to have that beer. So today, nobody accepts responsibility, and that's what concerns me. It's not 119 Gallery. 119 Gallery should probably call their insurance company for you and make sure that you have 1 day, some type of liquor liability if you're serving. You have to stay on top of it, folks. You are responsible. No matter what happens, that comes back to you. And I don't say that to scare you. I say that because that's the truth. It's unfortunate. We see it time and time again. We read about it in the newspaper. People, the first thing they're looking for is that big lawsuit. We're gonna, this is it. This is gonna put us over the top. We're gonna be set for life. This guy's gonna pay, and the poor guy, all he was trying to do is raise money from some, homeless mother's shelter or something. And, so you gotta really be on top of it today, unfortunately, okay? It's your liquor license.
Correct.
So number one is your cell phone should be programmed with the police department's telephone number, not 911.
Okay.
911 doesn't do you any good. It will get the Framingham Barracks. They will say, hi, where are you? You'll say, I'm in Lowell. Then they'll say, hold on, and then you go through the whole, well, by that time, the building's half burnt down, and, you're still waiting for the guy on the other end, like the guy that called a suicide line and they put him on hold, It just doesn't work. So you need to call direct,
Okay.
okay? So have that on your phone. Have the liquor license right there where the police can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Do not be afraid. I don't care what you've read in the paper. I don't care what you see. Do not be afraid to call the police and say, you know what, I think this guy is trouble. We're having, we will not use that against you. I won't. I don't believe it. I believe that's the police's responsibility, is to respond to the citizens, to show up and say, what can I do to help you? Okay?
Yep.
So keep that in mind while you're at it, all right?
Okay.
Anything?
I would just say, I'll re-echo what was said. Make sure that they have you covered under their insurance policy.
Okay.
Or contact your homeowner's policy or renter's policy, because if anything goes wrong, you may not be covered otherwise. Just make sure you got your insurance, all right? Because the
Okay.
license
That's
is issued in your individual names, not for 119 Gallery.
Okay, that's helpful.
No, Chairman Bayless, I'm glad that in your absence, you haven't lost anything off your fastball. And you had a lot to get out there, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Works out really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commission will now take up matters to do with special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment applications. Theodore Panagiotopoulos for the Athenian Corner Restaurant and Lounge, Inc., a sound system for musicians, band, on the patio, which is an enclosed private parking lot adjacent to 207 Market Street, for the period April through September 2012. And per city ordinance, the hours for Sunday through Wednesday is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Thursday to Saturday is 10 a.m. to 12 midnight. Also, application by Sambath Bo of the Clemente Park Committee, the CMAA, sound system for band, traditional musicians, public address, in conjunction with the Cambodian New Year celebration, sponsored by the Cambodia Town and Clemente Park Committee. Kickoff, this is for Sunday, April the 15th, 2012, from 12 noon to 5 p.m. at the Roberto Clemente Park grounds on 803 Middlesex Street. And also, just for the record, the representative, the president of the Lowell Highlands Neighborhood Group, Taya Dixon Mullane, has forwarded a letter dated April the 9th to the License Commission Office regarding the neighborhood group's support of the activity scheduled at the Clemente Park the afternoon of April the 15th.
Introduce yourself for the record, please.
Theodore Panagiotopoulos, Athenian Corner.
He's a good Irishman, huh?
Sam Beth Bo, Chair of the Clemente Park Committee.
Okay,
Tom Bellegarde, I'm the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation.
okay. Tom, you're on, as you're Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. They have permits for this at the Clemente Park and for this event?
Actually, we've been working hand in hand with this group. The permit tonight, the license tonight is for the music they're going to have on the park. We are going to have detailed offices. We have the permits from the health department, from all the key agencies in the city, and it's also a quasi-city-sponsored event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted, this is the same thing you've done in the past on the side? We've never had any complaints that I know of, have we?
Not that I know of
No,
either.
that's good. We want to keep it that way, okay? All right, anything?
Nope, Happy New Year. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Next on the agenda.
This next item is a public hearing. This is on the matter to do with an application for the change of license type from a malt beverage and wine only, that of all alcoholic beverages, by the licensee known as Q&Q Restaurant Inc., DBA China Buffet. Amy Quinlan is the secretary. This is for premises at 199 Plain Street, unit number 4. Had been known as 203, the numbered address had been previously known as 203 Plain Street.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, gentlemen. Chris Coleman on behalf of the applicant, and I have Ms. Lynn with me here from the restaurant.
Okay, is the license going to be in her name?
Yes, she's the manager.
I'm sorry?
Actually, Kin Lin is the manager. It's going to be in the name of Q&Q. Kian Lin, the manager right now, has a malt, is the manager listed under the wine and malt license. That manager will not change.
It's going to be the same.
Okay, it's going to be the same manager.
It is the
That-
same
that's
manager.
important.
In
Okay.
fact, nothing will be changing
Yeah.
over there.
And what you've expanded the restaurant.
Actually, the inside of it really hasn't expanded. It'll just be a service bar in the back.
Yeah,
And no seats at it. It's not a lounge bar. It's just strictly for service for the waitstaff. That was
Okay.
in the initial plan. We had tried to have this done at the same time we applied for the transfer.
Right, doesn't
but it
work
was,
that way.
Yeah,
the state says that's too easy.
right.
Yeah, you haven't been a part of the bureaucracy long enough.
I think you're right.
You better come back in 5 years. Okay, I've been to the restaurant, this was Tassi Puglias's greatest, best place in the world to eat all the time, a former mayor, God rest his soul, great guy.
Just have to open it up for you.
Very, very well done. Okay, let's see if there's anybody here that wants to be in opposition to it. It's in opposition to the restaurant. In opposition once, in opposition twice. That portion of the hearing's closed. Anybody to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That's what we like, see? That means you've never caused any problems, okay?
No, I mean, the place is run perfectly fine. I've been there before. It's nice and clean, and I vote to approve.
Motion made.
Seconded.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Thanks, gentlemen.
For the-
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application by CB Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Major's Pub. Corey Belanger, President, for change of location of license for the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from premises at 34 Jackson Street to 197 Market Street. CB Enterprises, Inc. has filed applications to transfer licenses for common Vittler, for entertainment in a licensed restaurant, for live music, disc jockey, jukebox, from premises at 34 Jackson Street to 197 Market Street. Mr. Chairman, this application, the applicant had, as the previous one had been required to do, is notify abutters, property owners touching, and it does allow for public comment.
Okay. Introduce yourself for the record.
Corey Belanger, Major's Pub.
Okay. I know that you're experienced in the liquor business and food and whatnot. Are you gonna run the same type of operation?
Well, yes, but Mr. Chairman, before,
Yeah.
I would be glad to answer all your questions, but Mr. Economo, the previous owner and also the landlord, underwent shoulder surgery about 2 weeks ago. Okay, he has had some pretty serious complications with that, and there was some loose ends that we were trying to tie up in the interim, and he was unable to do so. So he's heavily sedated. He was in Boston today, just got back recently. He's heavily sedated, and at the request of his wife, humbly asked me to ask this board to a continuance for 2 weeks. You know, we're both sides are working diligently. There's nothing major, but we have a few loose ends to button up. And Mr. Economo and his wife, you know, I asked for a continuance, and I feel I should respect their request. But.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't think that I think, you know, you need a 48-hour notice for a continuance. You know, there are a lot of people here to speak for it.
There is. I met with some of the neighbors. I hear what you're saying.
We can keep the hearing open and not close it after we hear from everyone today. But, I mean, I think well, I was going to keep going, and then I'll let him.
I didn't know if he was agreeing with you.
No, but I think, you know, there are a lot of people here that want to speak tonight.
I understand. Now, I'm fine with that. I mean, I apologize sincerely. We're both working very hard on this.
And he's the owner of the building. The one that we really care about is you.
I understand that, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, you know, maybe this is, you know, I know you. You know, I know, you know, your reputation. It always seems like you've done a really good job as far as any time that we've given you outdoor licenses and whatnot. I don't think that, how many complaints have we ever had over the years?
I'm not sure.
No, but it isn't, if there was any, you know, the point of the thing is that this could be a blessing in disguise, okay? Because when I heard you were gonna go there, I'm saying to myself, you know, you're right across the street from the elderly housing, you're right in the heart of it. We've had, in the past, we've had some tremendous problems with that restaurant. I mean, tremendous, okay? The last group or people that had it, you know, they did everything they could to attract people in, and it died, okay? So I think Commissioner Occasion's idea of at least allowing the people that have, you know, come tonight, will record their comments, and then we'll continue it, okay?
Yes, I'd welcome it. I've
All
already
right.
met with them.
So what we're going to do, folks, we're going to open it up.
Is that all right with the?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just for procedural, what you should do is open up the public hearing. Once you ask for people to oppose it, then you're gonna have a motion to continue that portion of the public hearing. Then you're gonna open it for people who are in favor, then a motion to continue that to,
Sure.
so that both of
Okay,
those
so you
portions
have
will
to
still
shut
be
the,
open.
okay. All right.
Do we have to keep it, I mean, we have everybody here, we can get all the speaking in favor and in opposition, and then just continue the balance of the hearing for,
Unless
there's
you're
any
gonna allow
information that we're
Mr.
soliciting.
Economo to speak, in which case you wanna keep the public comment of the portion of the hearing open. Because he's gonna provide, if he's gonna provide testimony, if the reason we're continuing it is because he's gonna provide testimony, then you're gonna wanna keep the public comment open in case that there's
All
some.
right, the first part we're gonna take is anyone who wants to.
Well, before we,
Okay.
Mr. Belanger, could you come up to the podium for a second? Could you just explain how long you've been in the business?
Well, April this year marks my 11th year on Jackson Street, almost to the day.
Okay. And how many times have you appeared in front of this board for any disciplinary
I've
hearings?
never been in front of this board for an infraction whatsoever in that time frame.
Okay. And you plan on running the same operation?
Pretty much, yeah. We're not going to change a thing. We're going to have a bigger space naturally, and yes, we're going to be looking to attract new people, of course. I am a businessman, but it's going to be, it's going to be a bar. It's not going to be a nightclub. There seems to be the wave where, everybody's bringing DJs in and hip-hop, and I assure you that's not the way I'm going. And it's going to be a larger bar with food and spirits, and that's about it.
And as downtown has evolved over the last 11 years, there have been residents that have moved in closer to where the Majors is now, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And you haven't had any issues with them?
No, I've always, and it's not required I do this for the last 5-6 years. Before an outdoor event, I've notified all the residents in their buildings, posted over the mailboxes on all 3-4 buildings I'm surrounded by 2 weeks prior to the event with email addresses. If I had any concerns, and all honesty, I've been doing it 5 years and never had one response.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to open up that portion of the hearing for folks who want to speak in opposition. In opposition. If you're in opposition, I'd ask you to come up to the mic, give us your name and address, and you can have your say. Anyone in opposition? Yes, sir.
My name is Clint Baptiste.
Did you get his name?
I'm Clint Baptiste right here.
Okay, thank you.
We've, as the residents of 181 Market Street, which is a building that is directly adjacent to 197 Market Street, they share a common structure and wall. We've had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Belanger, and he seems like a nice guy. And what I'm saying here doesn't go towards what he is doing, it's what we have seen in the past with this establishment. I've lived at 181 Market Street for 10 years now. I've had the opportunity to see 2 previous owners at this establishment at 197 Market Street. I'll give you a rundown of just some of the stuff that we've seen and some of the problems that we've had. We've had loud music from hired DJs and bands to a point where items vibrate in the residence apartment. We've had constant noise and litter from patrons smoking outside the establishment. We've had constant noise from arguments and fights from patrons of the establishment when it lets out at 2 a.m. We've had vomit from drunk patrons in our doorway, in our entranceway, numerous times. We've had the glass in the commercial building on the first floor of our building broken at least 6 times in the past since I've lived there, from drunken patrons that's let out from the establishment at 197 Market Street. We've had patrons parked at directly in front of the fire hydrant of our building all night, several times. I've notified the police on a number of occasions. We haven't seen any response. I've never seen anybody even get ticket. Somebody parked there for maybe 4 hours, like 5 days ago, and it wasn't even a ticket on the car.
You've called the police department excuse me, I'm sorry. You've called the police department for a person parked in front of the fire hydrant and nobody responded?
Sir, we can't, it has to go on the record, so you can come on down and speak.
I've called them, they've responded certain times, but certain times where they haven't not responded. I have gone up to a police car and spoke to a police officer and pointed out the fire hydrant, the car at the fire hydrant, and that car was not ticketed or towed. So I've seen it with my own eye.
Okay.
So what we, it's not very pleasant to walk outside on your morning on a Saturday morning and there's vomit in front of your entrance from somebody who's been drinking next door. We propose that soundproofing be installed inside the establishment because the buildings are historical buildings. They're old, they're made of brick, it's porous, the sound comes right through like you're sitting next to the guy that's playing in the band. We propose that they have police details on nights where, on busy nights where there are a lot of people, just to control the crowd or the noise. We propose designated smoking areas because people would smoke all night and throw their butts on the sidewalk right in front of our building and nobody cleans it up. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to speak in opposition? In opposition?
My name's Al Zani. I also live at 181 Market Street. And I'm not really in opposition of Corey doing business there. I think he's a good operator. But I am concerned about the noise that, whereas we live right above the place. And for me, it's personally a health issue, whereas I work a 12-hour shift Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I can't get to sleep until after the music is stopped. And getting 2 hours sleep and working 12 hours, it just doesn't
Don't work.
work. So if maybe considering limiting his entertainment license to include no percussion or just certain decimal level being kept down, I think that would help my situation. But I think I can speak for the whole neighborhood. We've been enjoying the peace and quiet since the last owners have left. But I know it's a good spot for him, and I know he can do a good job there. But as long as he can keep the music down and noise down, I think it'll be good for the neighborhood.
Good. Thank you, sir. Anyone else in opposition? In opposition, last time, opposition.
I'll make a motion that we continue the opposition portion of the hearing.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
All right.
It's 2 years.
2 yes, 1 no. Okay. We will now go to that portion of the hearing for anyone to speak in favor. In favor. Anyone here speak in favor? Anyone speak in favor? In favor. You want to come down, sir? You can yell at us. It's whichever you prefer. I'm not.
It's got to get on the record.
I'm sorry. You got to come down. You got to come down.
It's got to go on the record, sir, or
Okay,
else
he's
we
coming
can't get it
down.
in.
Okay. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Kathleen Marson, 200 Market Street. I wish I wasn't planning on speaking, but I agree. I think Corey's business has been great over in Jackson. It'll be just perfect thing for this spot. He didn't mention it, but Corey actually did meet with the owners of the building that directly abut him. He sat down and had a conversation with them. As far as the noise, and it is 2 brick buildings next to each other. I don't know what you can do. He certainly doesn't want to spend a fortune. It's not his building. But I am in favor of him being the new owner.
The other gentleman, there was? Okay. Introduce yourself, sir, please.
How you doing? My name is Mike DeFonso, and I'm just I had a few words to say about Corey. So I just said he's a stand-up guy, a very responsible guy. I think he'll do a good job. That's about it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for your time.
Anybody else? Anyone else in favor? In favor? Last call, in favor?
I'll make a motion to continue that portion of the hearing.
Seconded, all in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
No. 2 yeses, 1 no. There's always got to be one in the crowd. Okay, so what we're going to do now is the hearing's been continued.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing.
And we got to set a date.
For the next meeting time, which is May 3rd.
May 3rd? Make a motion's continued, is that what you want to do?
Yep.
All right, I'll second that. Motion to continue it to May 3rd, seconded, all in favor, say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, since you're not leaving me a choice, go ahead, yes.
Okay. You got to give it some thought. To be honest with you, it's a blessing in disguise, because I think I can remember way back, that was a really nice little restaurant, a nice place. And unfortunately, it fell on some tough times. The establishment, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, okay? It's all in who's running it and how they run it. That's what makes it or breaks it. It's all the people that always say, oh, I couldn't stay in business because of the economy. I couldn't do this because if you run a first-class quality place, which you do right now, and I'll say that, you'll have no problems at all. You'll have no problems at all. But you need to talk to the neighbors and, resolve it. So I think you got a couple of weeks to, give that, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, and thanks again.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open another public hearing on the application by Than Tran for a license for public amusement for billiards and pool for premises at 1558 Middlesex Street rear. Mr. Tran is requesting license for 2 tables, which are billiard tables.
Huh?
Billiard tables.
Billiard tables.
Non-coin operated.
Non-coin operated. Okay, introduce yourself for the record, sir.
Ton Tran.
Okay, and is this the same billiard hall that tried to open over across where the temple is? Were you the gentleman that applied for? No, okay, just curious. All right, these are not coin operated, so.
This is more like a traditional billiards game, as the officer went in one time. It's it's all 4 corner railed, no pocket ball. It's more like England game, Asian game. It's only 3 ball without pocket. The purpose open is like long, hard working day for friend and welcome any outcoming coming in to play. Just a more traditional game. Throughout the whole state of Massachusetts here, I recall there's no more than 2 places that I know that have that billiard table game. Okay, what my concerning right now is before I renovate the whole place, with the engineer drawing layout of the 2 table coffee shop has been put up. And before the renovating, checking with the zoning, they approved it before I go forward to refixing the whole place, a 2-car garage that used to be an angle glass business there. I renovate the whole place, close it up, nice and clean, to make a place for everybody welcome to come in. And in the last several weeks that I noticed, I need to get 2 license for this 2 table that I'm not aware of. And so until today, so see what you guys can help me out.
Captain Webb, I know last time we spoke relative to this establishment, there were some concerns, and then you went back and checked on it, and it seemed like it had been cleaned up. I was just wondering the police department's observations of the establishment.
I think you have the documentation in front of you. I don't have a copy in front of me, but I believe it was on approximately January 28th. I did go out to 1558 Middlesex Street, and I spoke with Mr. Tran.
Several sets, there's several sets.
And on that night, he had several people in the establishment. We found evidence of what we believe were alcohol sales and gaming taking place within the establishment. I spoke to Mr. Tran. He told me that he was in the process of obtaining permits, and I explained to him that until he got the proper permits, he couldn't have any alcohol sales, and that I was concerned with what I believe was gaming taking place. And I advised him to cease that activity, and we told him we would be back to check on it. Sergeant Noon from the Special Investigations Section did go out there and speak to Mr. Tran a couple of weeks ago, and I believe you have an email that Sergeant Noon sent to me about what he found. And at that time, there was no evidence of alcohol found on the premises, and there was no evidence of gaming. So as far as what I saw that night on January 28th, Mr. Tran apparently did address those concerns, but the police department still is concerned with what may be his long-term plans for what he's going to do with that location.
Are the pool tables still there?
That I don't know.
Yes, it is still there.
They're still in the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Do you have an occupancy permit for that,
Yes, it's the lower.
for the garage?
Yes,
You
it's
took
all,
this,
it's all finished, it's all closed up, and the capacity is 40 people.
What are your long-term plans for this place?
It's gonna be the same, you know what I mean? As last time, the officer that came in with the alcohol is inside the property. I did explain it to the officer that it's the Vietnamese New Year, and I showed him right there. It's sitting on the floor. We got one case of beer right there, and I did apologize that I aware that I got no permit, no license for serving alcohol, but I'm not serving alcohol. That's just one day with the Vietnamese New Year. And just for that night, after the officer get rid of it, we did. Since that day, nothing, no alcohol is in the property. And the recent visit from the officer that he just mentioned that stopped by to look at the property it's all clean. Nothing is unlegalized inside the property. So,
and you go on the side of the building, and it's like, you're talking an occupancy of 40 people. Now, where are these, let's say, for the sake of conversation, let's say, 30 cars, some come together, a couple of people. Where are you gonna put the cars? You got maybe 10 cars down, and the whole corner of the parking lot is dirt, where you pulled a tank out of them. I mean, I'm not saying you did or somebody did. Looks to me, I've been by it, I know where you are, I know the thing. The corner of the parking lot, there's no hot top. It's just all dirt, and so I don't think anybody can get in there to park. So maybe you got 3 cars on the other side. The rest of the cars are gonna, where are you gonna put the cars? And you got a nail salon. Now, are you related to the lady that runs the nail salon?
yes.
Okay. So you and her aren't gonna be fighting over parking places.
No.
Okay, what about you got the cafe,
Yes.
right? The sign's still up for that.
Yes.
Okay. And now you want to put a pool hall in. I'm just,
I think the pool is in the cafe.
Well, it's on the other side in the garage. You know, from the outside, it looks as if, and I'm just, you know, I don't wanna, you know, you drive by it, it looks like the garage doors were taken off and it was boarded up,
Yes.
okay? It doesn't look like it's, you know, it looks like a garage that's been converted. I haven't, I'm being honest, I haven't been in it, okay, I haven't had stopped to go inside, but from driving around the outside, I wonder, you know, what's holding up that roof and, you know, whatnot as far as, and they're gonna put 40 people in that little building with 2 pool tables. I would venture to say that,
As right now, since the place has been renovated and opened it's never get overcrowded to overpark on the street side. I always on the property right there to manage the place, make sure like incoming friend, close friend, they can park around in the parking lot where the nail salon is. I already talked it over with my uncle. And where the paving end right at the corner that you said the dirt there, he did put the gravel down, but it's too late for last year to pave the whole parking space. And he will gonna pave the whole parking space, and it's hard enough to park car right now.
okay, why don't we open it up and then see if there's, you know, any comments from the neighbors or anybody wants to, okay, so why don't you go ahead and have a seat? All right, we're gonna open up the hearing on anyone that's in favor of having this business on Middlesex Street. Middle? Yeah. In favor once? In favor twice? There's no one to speak in favor, okay? In opposition? Okay, come up, introduce yourself, come up to the mic, introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Tom Belgard. I reside at 25 Joffrey Street, which is a couple of doors down from this business. We have many concerns, many questions. It's really a situation that, when you look at it, to have multiple businesses on a corner of a dead-end street going into a busy street is a lot for the dead-end street, who has neighbors that I've been there 27 years, some of my neighbors have been there 50 years, to kind of swallow. What I'd like to do is enter into record some pictures, just so we can kind of intelligently talk to each other, so you can kind of look while I'm speaking.
I mean, I got 18 million businesses, say it's gonna...
While we're distributing the pictures, what you're looking at is, and we have questions too. What we're looking at on the Middlesex Street side is a nail salon. My wife can attest to the fact that they did an excellent job with renovation. They do a top-notch business. She frequents it on a monthly basis. If you look underneath the nail salon, you'll see some kind of a floor service business. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I just see a sign that says so. And if you look on the next page over, you can actually see the truck that's parked on the side of the Joffrey Street side of the flooring business. When you get into the other side on Joffrey Street, you get into the cafe side. I'm not really sure what a cafe is, because what I'm being told isn't what I know a cafe to be. And also, it's already got the billiard sign up there, and I'm not really sure if that was premature or by mistake, but I would have questions if I'm going for a permit to play billiards, billiard hall, or whatever we're going to do, and I would have the sign made up and hung up on my business. I don't think that's in good taste and the respect of that you, board, as a board, should respect to the board. I have a bunch of neighbors here tonight. We all feel the same way. I'm going to let them speak for themselves. We have many questions: parking, loitering, signage. As you can see, or as it was attested earlier, you know, I don't know about 40 cars, but if you even do the math, if you do the 30 cars in the billiard area, and you do 10 cars in the cafe, And I would think the nail salon, you're looking at least 10 or 15 cars. You know, you're looking at 40, 50, 60 cars on a street that you probably got 13 single-family homes on it with young children and elderly people walking that street. And just to point out the fact that, I have my boards if we need to look at them, we have no sidewalks on our street, which means in order for parking to be held, people to park on Joffrey Street in this business, you have to park up against the building. If you look closely, you'll see the nose of the car is right up against the building. So you can't walk in front of the car, so you're forced to walk behind the car. The car jets out several 10, 12 feet into the street, and you're making that turn from Middlesex Street to try to get into Joffrey Street. And we all know that with the Rourke Bridge situation, when you're coming home from work, it's very difficult to navigate that street. Never mind when you have cars in your way to try to turn into a small street. I'm going to step back at this point and let some of the other folks speak, so I'm not redundant. But I think you'll be enlightened on what some people have seen and heard and feel. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shelley Epstein, Bethel.
Where do you reside, Shelley?
I reside on 47 Joffrey Street. We just feel that a pool hall is inappropriate for the neighborhood, a residential area. You can see on some of those pictures I've outlined in red, right directly across from the Tees Cafe, there's two houses. It's a condo, it's a double condo there. Right next to it is another home. All of our homes are really close together. You can see from the end of the street. Like Tom said, there's maybe 13, 14 houses on the street. It's not very big, which even if they were to park along the street, isn't room for 40 cars plus our own vehicles to be there. You can also see the street without any cars parked in front of the cafe. That there's a utility pole that kind of designates the middle of the street. And you can see when cars are parked at the cafe that how far out they actually come into the street. And they actually are almost right at where that utility pole is to show how far out. There's also one of a vehicle pulling onto the street that you can see how far the vehicle has to pull over to get onto the street with cars there. I've tried to pull on to my street from Middlesex Street, taking a right-hand turn, and when the cars are at the cafe, a car was pulling out, and I almost got rear-ended because I had to stop to let the car pull out to make a left-hand turn, and nobody expects you to stop when you're making a right-hand turn onto a street. They expect you to slow down, but not come to a complete stop. So I have a teenage stepdaughter. She and her friends that also live on the street like to walk up to Mobile and Wendy's. We just don't feel it's safe. We just feel like it's just not an appropriate business for a residential area with some of the stuff that Tom mentioned as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Debbie Belgard, and I live at 25 Joffrey Street, very close to this establishment. The neighbors and I are not for a billiards hall there. It is not an appropriate business. We love the nail salon. He did a fabulous job in the front of the building. You could see where he has his billiards. Looks like he put a piece of plywood up, whitewashed it, and it looks not very nice. The cars are jammed up against it. There's men coming out to smoke at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. They're kind of between the cars, and it's very unnerving when they come out. I heard about, the drinking and the gambling. I don't know about the gambling, but I, on one occasion, saw a man playing pool with a pool stick in one hand, a beer in the other hand, and I saw that quite by accident when the door opened. They didn't expect me to see it. So that's at least 2 occasions where there's been alcohol. It's not a very welcoming place. There's curtains on the windows, the doors. You can't even look inside. You don't know what's going on inside. They're supposed to be closed at 12. There's cars there till 2, 3 in the morning. We don't know why there are cars till 2, 3 in the morning, jammed up against the side of the building. You're going to hear from the rest of my neighbors. I've lived on that street for 50 years. I have other neighbors 35 years, 50 years, 40 years. It's a fabulous street. It is not the street for this place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gentlemen, name's Alan Machad.
I've been a resident of Joffrey Street for 20 years. My wife and 3 daughters. I got 3 teenage daughters. Since the nail... Sure. Thank you. Since the nail shop moved in, the pool hall came in pretty close to that time. What I've noticed is at night there's gentlemen hanging outside the door there. Since I've seen that, I can no longer allow my daughters to walk up to the mobile store by themselves. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood, and I've got that concern, along with the parking and the traffic problems. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Joe Michaud. I live on Joffrey Street also. I've been there for about 50 years. And my concerns with everything that everybody else is saying, the parking. Now, I don't know if you remember years ago when you were growing up with kids, you'd play out in the street. And my 3 boys were like that. They were always able to play out in the street. I got my granddaughters coming over now. I'm nervous for them to cross the street now with all the cars coming in. But 2 of the big concerns that I have, one of them is I work nights. And a couple of times I come home for lunch or whatever at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, I still see a couple of cars parked there. There was an incident, I don't think they brought it up yet, where some type of gaming table, I don't know if they were playing poker, or if they were playing cribbage, or whatever, was actually brought outside to where they usually park the cars, right outside the door. And that was a real concern to me. And I just got to reiterate what everybody else is saying. It's just not the type of street for that type of establishment, in my opinion. If we see 30 cars down the street, it's always because Mr. Belgard or myself or Mr. Bethel's having a party. We all go over there and join them. That's the type of neighborhood this is. And we just don't feel it's appropriate for this business.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else in opposition?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name's Sean McNary. I live at 33 Joffrey Street. I'm probably one of the most new residents there. I've just been there for about 3 years. And from what I can see, I agree with most of the people here. The biggest concerns that I have is the parking. Everybody knows the winter we had last year. Fortunately, we didn't have one this year. But if we had any snow like that, the way these guys park their cars there now, you wouldn't be able to get a plow up and down the street. Continuously, I come home at night. Sometimes I see them out late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning when I come home from work sometimes, see people outside. I can't understand how there's pool tables there already if we're here looking for a permit now. So that's a little concerning to me. And the concerns I have moving forward, if a billiards license was issued, what would be the next step and what would be the next things that these people were looking for? So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? In opposition? Last time. Oh.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Banak Pril. I live on 48 Joffrey Street. I've been living here for about 8 years now. When I drive home from work around 8 o'clock in the evening, I did notice that they were drinking inside. And that's just, I'm concerned about our street safety.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in opposition? In opposition? That portion of the hearing is closed.
I guess after hearing the opposition, my concern is the address of this establishment is, was it 1558 Middlesex Street? Rear. So, you know, when you think Middlesex Street in Lowell, you think it's the ultimate commercial district in the city. But driving by there and looking at the establishment, it appears that, or it doesn't appear, it is, that the front door is on Joffrey Street. And, you know, there were many people here to speak in opposition. There was no one here to speak in favor other than Mr. Tran. You know, I understand that type of billiards that's being played, you know, I think it probably has a place in the city and there's probably a clientele for it, but I don't think that this establishment or this location is the proper place. So it would be my inclination not to approve the application.
Anyway, as those residential just mentioned, you know, the opposite of of me. Since as I said, some residential say the pool house has been in, the billiard table's been in there already. Because when I renovate the place, with the engineer drawing, layout with the 2 pool table, before I go ahead and check with the zoning, okay, and get approved it, that's why I go forward. And until I get a notice that I need 2 licenses for that 2 billiard table. Okay, as been opened the business with the permit already, without 2 licenses for the pool table that I didn't realize. I've been out on the street every day, cleaning up the street for the residential there, try to keep it peace and clean for them. Okay, as myself as a business on that street. I understand if it's not happening for me, it's fine. You know what I mean? But to this point, nothing I can say because they are arranged. I can bring favor for myself in here. It's not gonna do any help for me. You know, but to the point is, when I submit that engineering drawing layout of the building to be inspected, I wouldn't invest my money in there over $30,000-$40,000 to get it shut down. And as today, I got nothing to say now, you know. Oh well, you know, as a DBA trans floor service working in this town for last 8-9 years, serving the residential home and commercial, and sponsor of a UTech program in downtown right now, you know, would any...
I'm sure you're a good resident and a good businessman, but my personal feeling, I don't know how the other two, is that this location isn't good for that establishment. There are other locations, there's a lot of commercial property throughout the city that would love to have a tenant like you that's gonna bring people in there, that has adequate parking, that has appropriate lighting. I drove by there at night, there's not appropriate lighting. You know, that has the infrastructure to support a business like this. And I just don't think that this location, it has nothing to do with you as an individual. It has to do with the neighborhood and the location of the property.
Even if I don't park outside on that Jocko Street, in the parking lot, how's that sound to the neighbor?
I have to tell you, I'm going to say that I agree with Commissioner Occasion on this. My concern is that it's not quite, when you're looking at Middlesex Street, that neighborhood, it's a very heavily commercialized zone, but it is businesses that are primarily run during daytime hours. You've got auto dealers, you've got repair shops, you've got personal services locations such as nail shops. You've got a lot of different types of businesses. You have a few restaurants that have separate parking, but that is not a nighttime, it's not a nightlife location. It wasn't designed for that, it wasn't built for that.
Is it there a certain time frame that I can open like to 11 o'clock without this,
No. I mean, my concern is this, is that, look, the statutes specifically say that, you know, billiards parlors and billiards tables have to be regulated, have to be open to public hearings. You know, the Lowell License Commission is specifically designated by the state of Massachusetts to have these hearings. My concern is it doesn't really fit the environment of the neighborhood. It's a garage that was for a formerly commercial district for...
Angled glass, and the business has been in and out, you know, with the car in and out.
Sure, and during the daytime, they probably do a lot of business, but during the nighttime, they probably didn't. My guess is that if that was a glass business, it probably was closed by 7 o'clock at night, is generally, but, you know, you're talking about cars going up and down the street, people being in and out at all hours of the night. I just don't think that that's an appropriate use for it. So, I mean, my inclination is to also say, look, I welcome the business. I really do. I wish you could find a better location for it. There are plenty of places that are not in the middle of a residential neighborhood. There are plenty of areas of the city that are designed for commercial activity. They have adequate parking. They have garage spaces nearby. They have large parking lots. They don't have, they have sidewalks, you know, places where people can walk, where cars can park, where plows can get up and down. Those are my concerns, so I'm inclined to agree with Commissioner Occasion on this.
I'm looking at the pictures, you know, pictures they say, you know, tell 1,000 words. I mean, if you spend that kind of money renovating this place, you got taken. This picture right here, okay, shows what was a Ritz. I remember it when it was a glass place. And this is where the bays were, where they replaced the windshields.
Yes.
And you renovated this, and all that plywood, you want to look at the picture, it's absolutely, it's all separating and bubbled and ready to fall off the building.
See, when
You know, it just that in itself. Secondly, you know, it's all closed in, there's no windows, nobody has any idea of what was, I knew what was going on there. Okay, I had known for a while what was going on there. That's the one thing that sometimes people don't understand. People call us at home and say, you know what, you gotta have them watch this or watch that because this is what's going on. The street narrows there. You run the floor finishing
Yes.
business out of there also. So do you own the building?
No, my uncle did.
Your uncle owns the building, okay.
I'm the owner of the floor.
So you took the breezeway, the little breezeway that connected the garage to the house,
It used to be an office for the angled glass, yes.
and you made the cafe in there.
Yes.
So how many chairs you got in that area?
And I renovate the two big garage to finish it up and with the two table of pool down there. And I got four coffee table on the top office there.
You know, I don't, you know, I think what Commissioner Weicker and Occasion is saying, it's probably a business that could flourish. And, you know, I'm just throwing this out for what it's worth. You know, there's a billiard hall at Drum Hill. Right after, there's a...
It's not,
It's
it's
not
gone.
there anymore?
It's gone.
I'm sad behind the times.
That's in Chelmsford
Oh,
anyway.
is
so
it
yeah,
Chelmsford?
yeah.
It was there? Okay. You know, but the point was that it had plenty of parking, you know, it was wide open, it was, and, you know, even with this, I'm, you know, I'm
I
amazed that
understand.
they didn't, I'm amazed they gave you a permit to even occupy it with that being set up that way, but,
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
make the motion.
That's why, you know, why I submitted and they have got approved it, you know?
And that's from the building side, but
Yeah.
not necessarily from
second
the
it.
business side, so,
Okay, motion to deny,
all in favor?
seconded, all in favor, say yes.
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 Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Wow, look at them all leave. You know, wait a minute, folks, we gotta be here at 6:30 at night. You should be forced to stay. Wait, lock the door. Nobody goes home till this thing's over.
Thank you, bye. Get the pictures.
Don't be all that.
Should I get the pictures? No, they did the right one.
Do you want those for your file? Do you want any of these, for any reason? Leave the one that's all bubble. He'll keep it in the file,
If anybody ever...
in case they ever
if-
come back.
If anybody appeals our decision, we need to have our, these are...
I'll look through them, and I don't need them all four of them.
Yeah, but the one like with the whole side.
Commission will now open up a hearing, it's not a public hearing, on the allegations of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, against the licensee known as the Middle Street Village, Inc., doing business as the Village Smokehouse, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 9298 Middle Street. The allegation being sales of alcohol beverages to 2 intoxicated patrons the morning of February 4th, 2012.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. George Theolides, Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. And I'm here this evening on behalf of the respondent to this matter. I filed, if I may, a motion to dismiss regarding this situation, which I'd like to present to the board before any further action is taken.
Yeah.
Look, I'll start off by asking. I had an opportunity to read your motion. I just, looking through the response, it's from today. First question. Why is it today? When the response to the requested documents that were discussed at the last meeting?
Well, unfortunately, the law department did not have a chance to respond to this until today. And the response was sent to Mr. Elides. I think that the more crucial issue is 2 points, and I understand that Attorney Elides would like to speak. The first is, he's claiming there's some violation of the public records law.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Just let him
Let him speak. George, let him speak.
Don't put words in his mouth, just give us your own words.
Yes.
Don't tell me what he's claiming.
Sure.
Just tell
This
me
has been
what you're
going
saying.
on and on. It would seem to me that this, I haven't been here in a while, but this was going on before I left and got sick. So what? I mean, if he wanted some information.
There are no documents to which he's entitled to. That's the short answer.
All right, are there any documents that were requested that are referred to in any of the reports that you're aware of? Are any materials, any information, anything that's in the possession that you're going to rely on for these purposes?
Absolutely not.
So we're not going to hear any testimony about anything in any videos, right?
Correct.
We're not going to hear any testimony about any statements made by parties who weren't subpoenaed to testify tonight, right?
You're absolutely going to hear statements about parties who weren't subpoenaed to testify.
Well,
but
did you exercise your subpoena authority before coming here to bring witnesses in?
There were no witnesses subpoenaed here tonight.
Okay. So you're going to rely on hearsay then?
I'm going to rely on statements against penal interest and statements by the manager and statements made to the police officers, yes.
So you're going to rely on hearsay then?
Well, again, statements against penal interest
You're
are not
talking
hearsay.
about exceptions to hearsay rules,
Correct.
but it doesn't change the fact that it's hearsay. Or is any of it going to be totem pole hearsay?
No.
All right. And Mr. Elides, what information do you believe is still out there that you're looking for?
Many things. I can't believe, you know what? Can I just make one comment?
Absolutely.
It is not Mr. Slagle's decision and prerogative to be able to say what is a public record and what isn't a public record. The law is very clear on that. And I'm going to tell you, gentlemen, been practicing law for over 42 years, and what he did this afternoon is one of the most outrageous things I've ever encountered. I can't tell you how upset I was then and still am today. I will answer Commissioner Weiker's question, but you know what bothers me? This is a red herring. The law is very clear. A public record is a public record. Anything that's in the city's hands that relates to this matter is a public record. He doesn't decide what a public record is. He doesn't decide what comes before this board and what evidence goes into this board. If that were the case, you would be nothing but a kangaroo court, taking whatever it is he feels free to be able to give to you. And that's the basis of why I'm so upset about this. It isn't, he's saying, you know what he said in his reply? He said in his reply, All that comes into evidence is the two reports that you got, or the reports that you got in there, because that's all I'm relying on. Hello, I don't care what he relies on. I care what the facts of the case are and what we should know or shouldn't know. To answer your question, sure. There's evidence in there about medical records and diagnoses, hearsay from and if that isn't double hearsay and totem pole, I don't know what is. There's medical records. There's records that Officer Bilko, I don't know what it is, said to the chief. The chief in his complaint letter says that it makes some reference in some of the more damning statements, supposedly about 2 or 3 drinks and whatever in Bilko's record. Where's Bilko's record? He puts it in there in that way. I have no opportunity to see it, to know it. As I believe you gentlemen know, when you put hearsay in there, yes, hearsay is admitted in an administrative proceeding, but it's only admitted in a proceeding once it's been established there's good value and good background for that particular kind of thing. In addition to that, I can't believe, but you know what? It isn't even what I can believe. I can't believe that they don't have written statements from the 2 gentlemen who were injured here, the victims. I can't believe that. But you know what? It isn't up to me to know that. The law says, and if you excuse me a second, I'm going to pass it out to you, the guide to the public. May I approach?
George, you want to take my nitro back with you? Are you okay? Take it easy.
I may need it.
Jesus Christ, you're really wound out.
All right.
Holy mackerel.
I guess the thing that frustrates me dealing with this situation is that I remember when we got the original hearing, I think was scheduled for March 16th or 22nd or something, and we had a letter from Attorney Eliades looking for, number one, the video, because the police report that was attached to the complaint says there's a video, that the police viewed the video and this is what they saw. So because that complaint had the police report attached, that complaint was relying on that police report. Therefore, that video is something that the chief of police is relying on. But I remember making the point, because there was no one from the law department here that day, and I said, my recollection is anyway, I said, I wish someone from the law department was here, because they should provide that information, because, the establishments are entitled to a defense, and they should have all the records that are available to them. And I can see where Attorney Eliades is frustrated that he got a response this afternoon, at the 11th hour, saying that you're not entitled to them. That frustrates me. That would frustrate me as an attorney. It frustrates me as a member of this commission. It would frustrate me as a resident of the city of Lowell, because this has been scheduled, and the law department waits until this afternoon. And I know you're just the messenger, but the law department waited till today, and I think that's got to be frustrating to all the parties involved.
If I could
It's
just have
more
a
than
brief
fru-
mo-
it's more than
if I could just have a brief moment,
George?
please. First of all, I appreciate both Attorney Eliades and the License Commission's frustrations, and I do apologize for the lateness. Notwithstanding that, Attorney Eliades is not entitled to any documents he does not
It's
already have.
not his decision. And I'm going to
Hold on,
interrupt
hold on.
because, I'm
No,
going to interrupt,
I let you
Counselor.
speak. You gotta let me speak, George, here,
It's-
okay?
I'm
I
gonna
let
have
you
to get a
speak.
hammer.
Okay.
Calm down. All right. Go ahead, finish.
I will attempt to be brief. There is an ongoing criminal investigation of this
okay.
matter. The
You know,
public records law is clear.
We've heard that before.
But that's an exception.
Things happen in the downtown, no. Now I'm going to have my say. Things have happened in the downtown area that are on film, and this body had requested to see the film. And, this is an ongoing criminal investigation, and we can't do that. But the city comes before this board and says to 3 commissioners, you gotta kick the hell out of this guy because he's a bum. Well, you know what? Prove it. If it's on a piece of film, prove it. But don't come walking in after since March and say, and I'm not saying that you're the one that's saying he can't, I'm just saying, if there's information out there, and there's nothing better than a video, nothing. You know what concerned me? I read this, and I overthink it. It says right here, as I approached the 2 above, I later identified as the 2 victims, Mark Conlon and Robert Gage. I asked him what was going on. Robert came over in a crude blah, 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 blah. After speaking with Robert, it was apparent that both he and Mark were intoxicated, but incapable of taking care of themselves.
Again, if you'd like to hear testimony from the officers, they're here to testify. That's not...
All right,
What
here's my...
concer- Mr. Chairman, I need-
Attorney Elitis, just give me a second. My concern is this, all right? If there's information out there that's relevant to it, and you don't want to produce it until the investigation is complete, please tell the law department or the superintendent of police not to file a complaint until the investigation is complete.
Well,
I mean, that's real simple. Because, look, and I will speak from experience here because I have several friends who work in it, but trials of people detained in Gitmo at least get copies of classified evidence, all right? I think we can do a little bit better than that. We're not talking national security here. We're talking a videotape of the individuals, which is really, let's be honest, if the charge is serving somebody who's visibly intoxicated, don't you think a video showing how they appeared would be relevant to whether they were visibly intoxicated? I mean, I consider it relevant. If you don't want me to consider it, I'm happy to go forward on just what's in here that's not totem pole hearsay and it's not relevant to the video, and I can make a decision right now. I don't need to hear testimony.
Well, as I said, the officers who multiple officers who firsthand observed the individuals are here and available to testify. Their statements are not hearsay. Their observations are not hearsay.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you the next question. Do you, in compliance with all of the case law, have a witness who can testify that a person was visibly intoxicated at the time that they were served?
We have evidence that...
You have evidence that they were intoxicated, I get that, but the law says that that's not enough. The law says you have to have a witness. Do you have one?
I would suggest that the law does not say you have to have a witness.
Do you want me to read you the cases?
Again, I would suggest the law, that there is case law that says it is sufficient if you have a witness. There's also case law that says that if you have sufficient evidence showing that the individuals were intoxicated at the time, it doesn't necessarily have to have an eyewitness.
Can you cite that case for me?
I don't have it in front of me, no.
All right, because I can give you the ABCC decisions. I brought copies for you if you'd like.
Well,
if you've got a witness, please produce one. If you don't, tell me you don't have one.
Again, we
I
have
mean,
witnesses.
The problem is we get these garbage complaints that come in without witnesses.
I would suggest...
And this is the second time in as many weeks that we're here on this. Not on this particular case, but on another case where we're not having a witness.
We're also getting off track here, if I may say. The law requires that he respond to me within 10 days. And you know what? And by the way, I don't know, Chairman Bayless, if you had an opportunity to review the tape when I asked for a continuance on March 22nd?
I didn't get to see it, no.
Okay, well, let me tell you, if I may, and anyone feel free to rebut what I say, it's on video. And
I think, George, if I may, you know, I want to be fair about this as much as I possibly can. It bothers me that this whole scenario has played out this way. You know, and it just seems that it's dragged on and dragged on and dragged on from one time to another. And, you know, maybe a motion that we set the complaint aside until the end of the criminal, and if the police feel once the criminal investigation has been completed, they can bring the complaint forward.
Well, let me ask, isn't
Whatever
this...
documentation.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
I'd like to know, and I think this is a fair question from the city solicitor, has he completed his investigation on the village smokehouse?
He said he hasn't. They said it was an
On the
ongoing...
village smokehouse, on this matter before you this evening? Yes, he did. Is he going to say you're not complete?
of your investigation?
I apologize.
Say there was a criminal investigation?
There's an ongoing criminal investigation regarding the incident that occurred on and I had no intent of bringing it up, the incident on the videotape.
Nothing
The incident
to
where the
do-
individuals were assaulted. That's an ongoing criminal investigation.
Nothing to do, but even if it did, if there's an ongoing investigation that he says relates to the injuries that occurred to these people, there's a ton of case law. I've got it in my memo that says he cannot stop from giving these records out. He can redact them. We all know what that means. He can say if there's any issues of privacy, and by the way, I don't want to get personal, but shamefully, I think, one of the exemptions that Mr. Slagle mentions talks about personnel and records of people that's an exemption to the public service law. That's personnel, public personnel in employment situations. It has nothing to do with me, that person, or any other person that's here too. This is what's so when I say I'm upset because there is absolutely no basis to his counter affidavit. And the law says, and I'm going to say it again, he had 10 days to reply. I gave him my response. By the way, my client made an earlier response in writing to the police department that we never read about. I gave him mine on the 16th. 10 days is the 26th. The law says you get 3 extra days for mailing and receiving. That's the 29th. The 29th was 2 weeks ago. Now, that's number one. Number two, the law says if he thinks that he doesn't have to respond, that he doesn't have to give it to me, then he has to respond to me and tell me what and why. Now, what makes this even bigger, and this is why I brought this question about were you at the meeting and did you see it? At the March 22nd meeting, Commissioner Arcasian said to Mr. Slagle, and I see Mr. Elides has made a request to you for all kinds of materials, and are you going to respond to that? And he said, I will respond to it if he's entitled to it, but I'll respond. And Commissioner Arcasian said, you have to give him plenty of time. And he said, I'll give him plenty of time. And he said, further, I'll respond to it if I think he's entitled to it, okay? Or I'll tell him why, or I'll respond that he's not entitled to it. He did neither. He didn't respond. He didn't respond saying that I was not entitled to it. That's and excuse me, and Commissioner Weicker said, I'll play you the tape if you want me to get it, and Commissioner Weicker said to him, and of course, when you do it and do it in a timely fashion, you'll give a copy to the board, will you not? And he said, yes, I will. That's one of the main reasons I'm upset. So, what now? You know what? I'm being asked, and I'm going to be repetitive on this because this is the main point. I'm being asked to go forward on this case with 2 hands being tied behind me because of their failure to give me the information I need to have. I read that report and it talks about one of the officers watched a videotape of these people walking around in the parking lot. These are the victims who they tell you at some point was crawling and was a blotto drunk and whatever. This is a violation, a clear and absolute violation of due process. And I asked for a ruling on my motion to dismiss.
If I could speak briefly, I believe, first of all, if Attorney Elides believes that there's been a violation of the public records law, he has an appeals process to the Supervisor of Public Records. It's not within the jurisdiction of this board, with all due respect. Secondly, the letter is clear. If there's an ongoing criminal investigation, there's no public right to the records.
All right, then as long as there's an ongoing criminal investigation, I don't want to hear this. Well, because I want to see the records. All right, I want to see what the people looked like on the video.
Well,
and if you're not going to give it to me, I'm not going to hear this. How's that?
Well, with all due respect,
the
yes superintendent has brought a claim.
Okay.
We are prepared to go forward with that claim.
I'll make a motion to place this. All right, I'll make a motion to find that there's no violation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Favor? Yes.
Yes. No. Thank you.
The city of Lowell would like to register its objection to this, given that there
You
was
could appeal this
no
to the
evidence.
ABCC, I think, right?
There was no evidence presented before the board.
I'd just like to go on record, my suggestion would have been to dismiss the complaint without prejudice, and if the police department wanted to bring the complaint back, we could hear it with all the evidence.
George, calm down. When you get red like that, you know, you look like you're gonna blow a main gasket. Next on the agenda.
Members of the commission, there are a number of communications, starting with the communication from the superintendent of police, Kenneth LaValle. Letter dated March 26, 2012, allegation of misconduct against a licensee known as Puff Inc., the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 171 Lakeview Avenue. Communication from R&W Management, 2 Meeting House Road, Chelmsford, Mass., dated March 22, 2012. William Whitehouse, trustee, Greater Lowell Trust, regarding lease for Hager Corp. for 76 Merrimack Street, Lowell, expired December 31st, 2011. The business closed, that is Olay Restaurant and Tapas Bar. I did mention earlier the Ms. Dixon Mullane communication. Communication from Chandra Perry, dated April 9th, 2012, regarding excess noise emanating from the premises of Brian's Ivy Hall on Monday morning, April the 9th, at 12:45 a.m. Communication from Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, dated April 5th, 2012, regarding Lowell Police Department downtown crime activity 2010-2011 comparison. Number of communications by way of email regarding follow-up on Commissioner Weiker's request for additional information. Last is an application for transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from licensee known as Brazilian Tropic Inc., Kayla Cavallo is the manager, to a corporation known as AHY Bar Restaurant Inc., Luz Paulino president, for premises at 26 Andover Street, 4 numbered doors, 1 on the north, 2 on the east, 1 on the west sides of the building. There's a first floor, 1 room for restaurant, kitchen, basement, 1 room for lounge, 3 rooms for storage.
Mark, that we schedule that for hearing.
Which one?
The number 9.
Okay.
At the next hearing, May 3rd.
May 3rd.
We're gonna get Chandra.
Yeah, we're gonna get that, yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Perry's communication relative to Brian's Ivy Hall. I know Ms. Perry's here tonight. It seems like we're just doing this over and over again. Now, I went back through the records here, and no, Ms. Perry, are you the only resident of the Mallers Loft that's here tonight? Okay. Oh, you're up here. Okay. All right. Back in March 6th of 2007, the City Council asked the city manager, Bernie Lynch, to request the city manager to remedy complaints from residents in the rear units of the Mallers Loft regarding noise from the nightclub in close proximity. Now, this is before it was Brian's Ivy Hall. I think it was Rumbas then. But city manager Lynch responded that he had been in contact with Ken LaValle, who was then the acting police superintendent. The superintendent stated it was in understanding that nightclub noise can be dealt with in 2 ways under the noise ordinance. First, any sound level inside a club above 95 dBA sustained for more than 30 seconds as measured with a sound level meter, which the superintendent possesses, is a violation. Second, between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., any amplified music that is plainly audible at a distance of 50 feet from the building, structure, or vehicle from when the sound emanates shall be prima facie evidence of a violation. Request has been sent for a new incident type in Larimore, which, Captain Webb, is that a computer system or something for?
Yes.
Okay. Disturbance, noise complaint, to aid the police department in recording, tracking, and prosecuting these violations. Enforcement is recommended by a written warning requiring cessation within 10 minutes of the written issuance thereof, and a second and subsequent offenses are punishable by a fine of $100 for each offense. These can be addressed with a non-criminal disposition 21D violation. I have asked that the 21D process be fast-tracked by the law department. Captain Stabley will start working on a plan to deal with the noise using on-duty resources. Implementation will begin ASAP as improving weather makes it more likely doors and windows are left open, exacerbating the problem. If you have any questions, please let him know. Now, this is the same issue that we had 5 years ago, and the city manager said, you gotta call the police. They can issue a fine, and it was asked to be fast-tracked by the law department. Now, I addressed this with Attorney Schlegel before to find out what the law department has done, and as you can see, he's left us. But I just, reading your letter, it seems like, Ms. Perry, if you wanted to come, it seems that you don't want to bring a criminal complaint against Brian Zabiho.
On Monday, and
Yeah.
I don't want to have to fight with this man in court.
Right.
Sundays and Thursdays, it's almost a given that I will be woken up. Almost a given. I text Kevin and it's turned down. I wait 10, 15 minutes and I text him again. When? When are you going to turn it down? I'm going to ask you, can you soundproof? Get a professional soundproofer in there and soundproof the place. My other concern is that he's planning on opening another bar downstairs in the same building. What's that going to do to the residents? I've got a place next door. The woman finally had to rent it because she couldn't sell it. I mean, it's ongoing, it's frustrating, it's affecting me, my job, both jobs. And it's just not fair, and I feel like nobody listens or cares.
I mean, I'm listening, and I feel bad. I feel terrible for you. The other issue is, all right, now we moved the meetings to, well, let's not worry about the meeting time. Where are the complaints from the other residents of the Mahler's Lofts? How come they're not calling the police? How come you, and I feel bad for you because you're the sacrificial lamb. You're the one that's getting up here and pounding your fist and saying, where is the support from the rest of the residents?
I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. The woman upstairs and I, a couple of weeks ago, are yelling down in the back alley at the kid throwing bottles into the dumpster.
Did you call the police?
I did call the police that night.
And what did they do?
I called the police twice on Sunday.
And what did they do?
I have no idea. I don't see them. They go there, the music goes down, and then 15 minutes later, it goes right back up. I mean, how did the police go in there and say, turn it down, and they turn it down, they leave, and they turn it back up? How many times do you have to call the police?
No, I know, and that's why the police has the option of fining them.
That's where we're going with
if
it.
it starts hurting in the wallet to them, then I think that's gonna do something to them.
Well, I guess then that's what it's gonna have to be, because it's affecting me. Right. And I don't complain on Fridays and Saturdays, right. And the music is, if you could hear it, it's, but I don't complain.
Right.
Thursdays and Sundays, I don't think it's too much to ask these people to keep it down so that the residents can sleep. And you're being woken up at 1:45 in the morning.
I agree. I feel for you.
And nobody's doing anything, and he gets away with it, and he says he cares, but obviously if he did this, I wouldn't be back here. And I'm not the only one. Yes, I'm the mouth, because it's affecting me the most. Mr. Lumley, who is also a resident on the backside, he has called the police. I mean, I don't know where to go with this.
I'm a trustee of Moella's. I live in the front of the building. The noise doesn't bother me. For your question about the tenants who are not here, a majority of those units in the back, along with the vacant ones, there is approximately just 3 owner-occupied units. The rest are renters, college kids. They're hardly ever there. That's why.
They're probably at Brian.
We wouldn't be in this situation if we were notified as abutters in the beginning. We would have been here, and I had brought that up in an email. But now that I did hear in the last meeting that we are considered abutters, I would expect some type of response for the new establishment going in downstairs.
Well, you'll be notified for the new establishment.
I would hope so, yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, the one downstairs?
They're gonna have to be, because they're abutters.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna, yeah. If he's gonna open it.
We can be certain that there would have been people here voicing our concerns about the noise. And
Well, the noise issue and.
I mean, I've heard them say that he's personally insulated, built walls. Corning fiberglass insulation is not soundproofing. Show me proof that you had that professionally soundproofed.
My engineers actually made up the soundproofing. I
They
actually had
did.
engineers
Okay.
certify the soundproofing.
There was an incident downtown before, Central's Restaurant, 6-inch wall. They had live bands playing there. They insulated 10 by 10 foot, couldn't hear a drop. There's an alley between these buildings, and you can still hear that music, so it's not done right. I mean, 6-inch wall, alley.
Yeah. Can I speak?
Sure.
Kevin Harris, Brian's Ivy Hall. Actually, if you see any of the police reports, I don't think there is any police reports. There's calls, but there's been no reports because they don't find any noise in the alley. There's an officer right here that actually comes in, checks often. One of the officers that signs off on our decibel readers, which are below 60 every time, like we've discussed, which is in our limit. And if you want, you can talk to the officer. He's sitting right here purposely to tell you what they hear when they go in the alley. There is no police reports. I went up to the police station the other day when I saw this on the agenda. There is no police reports with any noise, ever. Even the officer that sat down with her for an hour, I have to meet with them after this meeting. I'm going to meet with 2 officers to sit down and discuss what's going on here. There is no police reports. There's nothing. Like you said, you can start going to a criminal matter. If you go to a criminal matter, you can try to charge me. There is nothing saying that I've done anything wrong. There's no noise in the alley when we... It's your word against mine. I have good witnesses, you have witnesses.
All right.
It's,
All right, guys.
I've done the soundproofing.
Okay, I'm going to ask that there's
Debate
not,
between
no
you.
talking between each other,
Right.
talk
If
to
you
us.
Talk to us, you don't talk to each other. Why do you, have you seen police reports?
No.
Okay, well then why are you, okay, why are you saying there, saying what he's saying not true if you haven't seen any? All he was saying was there's no police reports, and you were saying that's not true. And I'm saying to you, have you seen?
I called the police. If they're not making...
Yeah, but you know, ma'am, you gotta understand. Let me tell you how it works. You know, and you know, I know you're getting disgusted, and we are trying, believe me. And you can have a copy of this so that you can call Bernie and give him a buzz at home. He lives in Chelmsford, so you can give him a call and say, I got your ordinance here, why don't they do something? A policeman stops you on the highway, you're speeding, okay? He pulls you over. He comes up to the car, he says, you know, hi, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, how you doing? You know how fast you were going? No? Oh, okay, you're going 78 in a 60-mile-an-hour zone. Oh, wow, okay, you know. So for some reason or other, he does this, and he doesn't give you a ticket. He doesn't even give you a written warning. He just says, look, slow down. Okay. The same thing happens with liquor licenses and businesses and everything in the city. Many, many times the police officer, he's not there to put you out of business, to put somebody out of business. He's not there because he wants to, you know, write a ticket or hassle somebody. He's there to try to mediate and enforce the law, okay? So I'm absolutely sure that most of the time, or all of the time, if what he's saying is true, I have no way of knowing, but I tend to agree with him, that, you know, they don't write up a complaint. And Captain Webb will tell you that that's one of the things that we've had some disputes at over the years. you know, bars are, a policeman goes into a bar and he finds the bar doing something wrong, and instead of filing a complaint, he just says, hey, you know, you can't do this, that, or the other, and it goes 1 or 2 times, and then, you know what happens? People get a brain set that says, he wouldn't give me a ticket, don't worry about it. But it isn't a fact of him not giving you a ticket, it's a fact that he's trying to work with you to make you understand, okay? So I'm not surprised that there are no police reports. I think you need to, you know, I think you need to say to the neighbors, because if you got, you know, the other problem that you've got, and I can tell you, right, if you got college kids in there, they don't care how loud the noise is. They'll sleep right through it.
Come in. How many times do we have to come in? How many times do these
Ma'am,
people...
you're the only one coming in.
That's not true. If you go back and look at the tapes, that's not true. That's not true. There have been other people here, yes. Other people who live on the back. You've received letters from the people that live on the back. It doesn't affect everybody in the building. But there's 6 or 8 condos that it directly affects. And it's, I feel like I'm wasting my time and spinning my wheels, and nobody cares. Now I'm hearing, well, there weren't any police reports. That's my fault. I was told, call the police. I call the police.
Yeah.
Captain, have there been calls recorded?
I didn't look up the CAD entries before I came here tonight, but it's my belief that there have been. There might not be written incident reports, but there would be a CAD record of that.
A phone call, copy of the phone call.
A record of calls to the dispatch center. But there are other enforcement options that the police department is considering that will be taken in this matter.
And all I'm asking is for him to soundproof. Get a certified soundproofing engineer in there to write up a report, comply to it, and problem solved. Putting up a wall with insulation obviously didn't cut it. And I understand Kevin's frustration. He's trying to run a business. It's a club. People want to be loud. But he has to understand it's affecting our lives. And we shouldn't have to come in time and again trying to get him to comply. He says he wants to comply, but only what he wants to do. And that's just not fair to us. And we were never given the opportunity to come in here and voice our concerns when he first came in for the license. We weren't notified.
Well, but see, you weren't notified by certified mail, but everyone in the city of Lowell was notified through publication. So that's the catch-all.
But we are direct abutters.
I know.
We should have been notified by mail.
We're actually changing the rule on what's a direct abutter. At the time, you guys weren't considered a direct abutter because the city of Lowell was the abutter owning that strip of land in between, is what was told to us and certified to us by the law department of the city of Lowell. And that is, if you pull that record from that hearing, that is clearly stated on there that you're not considered an abutters. We are considering you an abutter now for any future hearings, but the city of Lowell Law Department at the hearing, because the issue came up right in the very beginning when Attorney Saab was standing there, and that very issue came right up. So that was an issue that was hashed out right there on the record, and we were told that you were not abutters. We're looking and considering you abutters, even though the city is claiming the land in between.
This officer here, you work, can you come up for a second, please, do you mind? Are you working like a private detail, or you're there because...
I was working on one of the nights that the call came in. I'm Officer David Penn for the city of Lowell. And one of the calls came in about the noise complaint. Don't know if I was actually working the bar or the downtown initiative, which is an overtime downtown. I was with Captain James McPadden at the time. I spoke to him. But I was there on one of the complaints for the loud noise. We did go outside in the back. They have a meter reading. I believe it's supposed to be below 60, and it was. And Captain McPadden was, I had spoken with Captain McPadden about it as well. He had Kevin had a sign sheet that he asked for me to sign, and I did sign it. I don't know what I believe it, like I said, I believe it was 60 decimals it's supposed to be below, and it was well below that on the time that the complaint came in.
The reading's supposed to be taken inside of the business, not outside in the back alley. That's what the ordinance says.
Well, I know, just, Mr. Harris, I know last time you were here, you provided us a log. Do you take readings inside the establishment?
Very rarely, but we do.
Right, well, you gotta
It's
sign.
well below 95. It's well below 95.
Okay, well, according to the ordinance, it's supposed to be 95 or below.
It's well below inside. It's lower 80s. When I've tested in there, it's been lower 80s.
And bearing in mind that 60 is somewhere around the noise that's emitted from a car engine.
60 is actually, anything,
motorcycle
from what I've read up on, 70 should never be read and under 70 should never be read in the city in general with background noise.
Right.
So 60 is, if you, a whisper, if that.
And when you were just speaking there, you said that you had an engineer do the soundproofing?
Yes, and actually, when we submitted our original application, it was submitted with that for Brian's Ivy Hall 2 years ago now.
There was a report, I never saw it.
It wouldn't.
Your report by a sound engineer. He built the wall himself.
I had an engineer certify that wall, get us the right materials, and I built the wall. I'm a general contractor, licensed, insured. I built the wall from the specifications to my engineer. In addition, we built a wall after that with other insulation that was, once again, sound insulation. So there's about 3 feet of insulation there. When you're in the back alley, you can't hear anything. That's maybe I'm deaf, I'm not sure. My judgment is, my back window where I sleep abuts the Bridge Street Bridge. There's traffic 24/7. I can sleep, you can hear it. I mean, I moved downtown knowing there was noise downtown. I live in a city. I know there's noise in a city. I've tried everything I can. I'm not sure if her bed's still against the window, which we discussed multiple times. I'm not sure if she still made any effort. I've still made every effort I can. My music is at a whisper until there's people in the building, and then we do turn it up, which is compliance with what we've discussed before. But my DJs know, don't even turn the music above a whisper if there's nobody in the building. It's not worth it. We do that Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every night. Doesn't go up unless there's patrons in the building. I've tried everything I can. I don't know what's the next step, but I've tried to comply the best I could.
Well, from what Captain Webb says, the city can try some new enforcement measures. I mean, there are on the books, and I think if it starts hitting you in the pocket with the fines, if the police believe that they can issue a fine.
But they're actually told to write, there actually is a problem with noise now. They're being told to write reports for noise complaints if there's something wrong. I went to the police station the other day and I asked, why isn't there a noise, why isn't there a police record? And they said, because if they're actually told to write a police report if there's an actual finding for noise. There's been no finding is why there's been no police. What I was told the other day when I physically walked up to the police station believing that she was in here with some more evidence, thinking that there was something written. I would have some proof, so I want to read, see exactly what was written down. Like last time the police report said it wasn't excessive. So I wanted to read the police report this time. There is no police report, and they were surprised there wasn't because they're told with these noise violations to write them. So I thought for sure there was going to be one there, and there was nothing. And I've had officers many times that every time there's a call, we go out there, we talk to the officers, and they don't have an issue. There's never been an issue that's brought to me and said, Les, it's loud, turn it down. Never once has an officer showed up and come to me and say, you need to turn the music down. Never once have they found it to be excessive. Every time my reports say, the one time it said it wasn't excessive, besides that, I've never heard from an officer. My details do sign off on it. We have them sign off it still. If we have a detail, they sign the decibel, go back inside.
Who's the detail? I'm curious. Is that the brother of one of the owners of this Brian's Ivy Hall?
If you want to start going that, I mean, we can play games. I'm
just asking.
You can ask whatever you want. Actually,
but do you have a detail at your establishment?
All right,
who is
guys,
a relative of
conversation
one of
has to come this way, not this way.
To answer his question, no. That detail's probably worked twice, and the owner has a 16% interest. His brother has probably worked the detail twice. And one time, there was an actual incident, and he actually arrested someone in this, so there is no favoritism, just so you know. He's worked the detail probably twice that I know of.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, Kevin, I'm Brian Barrett. I live at 33 Middle, Unit 23. I live in the front of the building, so I don't get to hear the noise Chandra does. We have the old court we have to deal with. But it is affecting, I'm a trustee there, I run the building, and it is affecting sales of the condos. So I'm hopeful that they can resolve something because, again, as Chandra alluded to, Unit 5, they've been trying to sell for over a year now, and they can't because of what people are hearing via this and what they're reading as a result of all the complaints that are getting from the noise. And I'm just hopeful that they can resolve something, but sound does vibrate and reflect, because if the old court is having a guy sing down there, I live on the top floor in the front, I can hear every word because it's reflective off the Lowell townhouse. But I know living downtown, I have to be accommodating to certain noise, but there's acceptable and unacceptable, and obviously it's unacceptable to her. But I'm just hopeful that Kevin, they can work out something, because it's the message is starting to get down there, not to move downtown, and you need the young professionals down there to spend their money. Because the elderly that are there are not going
Yeah,
out.
but you know, that's part of your problem. The young professionals like the noise. They want it.
Yeah.
They want that nightlife. They want that ongoing excitement and all that. And that's, you know, that's part of the problem. It's
No, I understand,
like
but
you-
sound
like
does
the gentleman
vibrate
just
off the
said, well,
buildings.
if you're renting those condos out to college kids,
Oh, well, there was one unit in that building that's rented out to college kids,
now,
and
I'll bet
they
you
make
they
zero
got the
sound.
things cranking.
No, they don't.
They live right below me, the college kids, and I've never had a problem with them, never.
Really?
And it's
I'm willing to bet they're never home.
Huh?
They're not home.
Oh, they're never home.
My
But-
problem is 1 o'clock in the morning, Thursday and Sunday. I'm not complaining about any other day of the week. And my bigger concern now is they're gonna open another bar downstairs.
Let's not worry about that.
Cross that bridge
Because
when we get
we're gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. You know, that's,
But again, obviously, we weren't notified as abutters, and I understand that, and that was in the past, and I'm just hopeful that they can resolve something, because I hear the noise in the front, but I accept whatever I have to do with in the front. I don't live in the back of the building, but it is affecting sales of the condo, because I have to deal with that part of it, running the building through the association as a trustee. And, you know, I'm just hopeful that we can find some common ground, so she'll stop texting me, and thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. We're sitting here and we're trying to, you know, I wish we had the wisdom of King Solomon or whatever. You know, we could divide the loft into 2 sections or whatever. You know, and it's let's have Captain Webb, you know, if you could, you know, look into this ordinance that they passed and see if we can somehow or another start to try to enforce that. That would give us more of a standing on whether, you know, and not just to write them a ticket, but if they are, you know, I don't think they're going to go in there and write them a ticket for the sake of writing them a ticket. I just don't.
I mean, I think it's clear from this that if there's a violation of the noise ordinance, and it says that the police have the proper equipment to measure the noise, that if there's a violation, they measure the noise, they can write them a ticket. And if they're in violation of the noise ordinance, the police will write them a ticket. And if they continue to get tickets, you know, number one, it's going to hurt them financially. Number two, it's going to be evidence that they're violating the noise ordinance. You know, and then we have something that shows that they're violating that ordinance.
If you have the
But if the noise ordinance says what it says,
Yeah.
and they're compliant, that's
Nothing
what
we
it
can do
is.
about it.
Is there a way you could at least request whoever's handling the downtown patrols, have somebody go by, make random spot checks on Thursdays and Sundays with a decibel meter?
Yes, we can take care of that.
And but I think, you know, the Lowell Police Department, I know that we have our battles with the Lowell Police Department and the bar owners have their, but I think for the most part, the Lowell Police Department are really resident friendly. And I know that Captain Webb and Superintendent LaValle and the officers will do what they can to help the residents and help the business owners coexist. And if you ask him to do it, I know that he'll have someone walk in that alley at that time, and I know they'll do the spot checks. So, you know, I do think our police department does a pretty good job for the resources that they have.
Well, we give it a shot. I mean, you know, and it's an oil and water situation. No matter how fast you spin it, it's not going to mix together. It's always going to find its own. You know, and certainly not, and you know, maybe the sales on condos are down, but, you know, the sales on all the property is down. And I, you know, except for the dramatics put into the Lowell Sun a couple of months ago.
No, I understand, it's just.
You know, right. And exactly, because we can dramatize this to the nth degree, and I'm sure they can come up with some great headline that makes Lowell look like Dodge City or whatever they want it to call. I myself personally, you know, no matter how we look at it, we're always going to have one or two that's going to cause you a problem. It's always going to happen. I'm not saying that it's her, I'm not saying it's them, but if they don't come together, you know.
Yeah, that's why I spoke on, I can't reflect on the noise
Right.
in front of the building. I can just reflect on
Yeah.
what I'm being fed from realtors and people trying to move units and the complaints about the noise and so forth, and that's what we're trying to resolve. And that's the only reason why I actually came. And I've never met him before and never been in his business. I know from living in the city my whole life and working here, no bar has ever survived it. When Brian McMahon had it,
Yeah,
it
no,
never worked.
and you know what?
It never worked, but
He has to be honest and stand up and tell you, we told him that. When he came and wanted the license for that place, all three of us said, you know, nobody has ever been able to survive there. It's too close, you know, and I don't know, you know, that you know, we understand. You know, myself personally, I would probably really be mad at the real estate broker that sold me the condo. I'd call him up.
I moved down there knowing I want to live in a
Yeah,
building.
you knew.
I accept it.
Yeah. I don't think this young lady knew. Yeah.
Apparently this appears to be unacceptable to agree.
Oh, okay. Nothing. Okay.
Actually, Brian's Ivy Hall was there when you bought the condo. We were there before you.
That's
Okay,
neither
we're not
here
gonna
nor
get
there.
into,
So,
this is not a dispute.
the police are going to do the spot checks, they're gonna go inside their establishment, and if there's a violation, then, but and you guys are put on notice, and you've been put on notice, so, I'm sure that if you're within the legal decibel limit, then you'll be all set. That'll. Make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
It's on the
No,
agenda.
just, if I may, just.
Yeah.
Two items on the communications, I just would like a clarification from the License Commission regarding the superintendent's letter of complaint regarding Puffy. Is the board so inclined to schedule a hearing on that matter?
Yeah.
Sure.
Bring him in the next one. When's the next meeting?
May 3rd.
At 6:30 in the evening? Oh, okay. That's in the PM, right?
It's usually the evening.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
And secondly and last is the communication regarding the, this is Olay Restaurant. That license needs to be canceled out, and so that I can notify the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission.
I'll make a motion to cancel the license.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Well,
Second.
first, before I do that, I just wanted to say it's good to have you back, Chairman Bayless.
Hey, it's good.
The
You know what
meetings.
the guys say, it's good to be seen rather than viewed.
Right,
You know?
that's right. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We're on our way home, Benjamin. I hope your
Second.
homework's done.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Meetings have been